He was like getting the inks. I said, how about we shoot for it? Shoot baskets. I said, if I make way, this guy's going to make 5 out of 5. Alhamdulillah, the parents were there, they were praying, please, and they all went in. My point is, when you built that and you do transact with them, people respect you at a different level. You know, the Prophet ﷺ, we forget, I'm not big into speaking. I believe in interaction, grassroots, one-on-one. I don't believe in motivational speaking, making people feel bubbly. I believe in giving somebody tools where hopefully I don't have to see them again with the same problems because they need that same bubbly feeling. The Prophet ﷺ, and Shaykh, inshallah, tell me if there's anything correct. If the first 40 years he didn't speak, he didn't proclaim his message to the people. The next 13 years after 40, he was under persecution in Mecca. He didn't speak much, only to the few. Then he migrated. 10 years in Medina. 8 years of battle, over 80 battles. It means only 2 years of speaking. But yet billions of people are Muslims. He eradicated poverty, eradicated in that short time racism, got rid of, abolished slavery. How? Wasn't through speech. It was simply through the action. So when the father comes, what do I do with my daughter? She's doing this. Let's spend time with her. Stop correcting her. Stop using your brain as a record of the past and always reminding her of the past and complaining about it. She likes to bike ride. Well, you better bike ride. Sheikh here is a great in karate. He should be doing karate lessons. And you guys should be encouraging him to do such things. Hajj Hussein plays tennis. He's playing tennis and ping pong. We have a rule. If anybody beats him in ping pong, they get $20 to spend in the store. Nobody beats him in ping pong. So that's my point. Let's be practical and pragmatic, and we're just not speaking, but we're building relationships through actions. And you have a beautiful center. There's so much potential here. And I really think if we use our brains as a roadmap to the future, think of what we can do, instead of complaining about the things that happened in the past and why we shouldn't do things in the future, then you're no different than a cancer patient who's been stricken by something and keeps living in the past. Same thoughts, same old ideas. Familiar past is predictable future. I'll predict your future. So I always tell a kid, before he opens his mouth, was I right about you not cleaning your room? Was I right about you talking back to your mom? Was I right about you skipping school? Was I right about you having a girlfriend? Say yes. So I was right about your past. Yes. Then no, I'll most likely be right about your future if you don't change. And it's up to them to change. Inshallah. Anybody, if you'd like to add on to it, Sheikh, anything?
Yeah.
Are you open to the idea to do black belt? To do karate, inshallah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi tayyibin at-tahirin. First, I want to thank the moderator and the organizers. And it's not this one, it's this one. Okay. I'll get it closer. Yeah? That's fine? I think this is now? Yeah? Okay. So, thank you to everyone, including the participants. It was short notice, and I just asked about the topic that was decided. But I think you went a little off topic. I think it was personality determines your reality, or your personality determines your reality.
Your personality determines your personal reality.
Personal reality.
Yes.
So on that note, I just want to share one hadith that in actual fact, most of us, especially the youth, should be very conscious of and aware of and work based off this hadith. From Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He says, قُلْ لِي مَنْ تُعَاشِرْ أَقُلْ لَكَ مَنْ أَنْتِ. Tell me, who do you sit and gather and basically befriend and spend your time with? I tell you who you are. You said you can determine through the fortnight. Sometimes the mu'ashara is fortnight now. Or through phones. Then the ashir becomes your phone. Some people are married to their phones. others are married to their controller, is that what they call it? Yeah, to the controller. Everyone is married to different, even saying friends is no more there. I can't even say the person that they're spending time with is a person anymore. It's no longer a person. So we have, I have noticed that we are going towards further and further away from being social beings and becoming more and more of individual people, and this is not humanity. So if you sit with the wrong guys, they lead you in the wrong way. If you sit with no one, what happens then? If we use the same analogy, you sit with the wrong people, you are led in the wrong way. And I want everyone to follow with me. You sit with the wrong people, you go in the wrong way. That's what Imam Ali alayhi salam said. If you sit with no one, what happens? You become? No one. This is the big problem. Those people who have those problems and addictions, in actual fact, they go into depression and serious problems, which is today's, I guess, I would say the biggest disease of the age is depression. Okay? And I have seen that again and again with many people. Okay? Suicide, which Brother Hussein mentioned, is skyrocketing. And all this depression, and almost everybody is on medications and so on. We live in a very antisocial society in every regard, from the way we interact in shopping nowadays, to the way we do our business, to the way we do everything. So there is a serious problem. And so determining the personality is not very difficult anymore.
Right. And so somebody would say, okay, what's the solution? So I believe instead of using your emotions of the past, you create new emotions that are tied to a future event that you want really bad. And that is when you have to change your personality and say, does your personality match that future event? You want to become an NBA player. We have Muhammad Ali's, let's welcome her with a large salawat, Muhammad Ali's wife, inshallah. Let's welcome her. Muhammad Ali is, the famous boxer, champion of the world. And she was telling me, we had a discussion, I gave him the lines, I introduced, I said, you got to change your name from the slave name. But she said something that caught me. She said, Muhammad Ali came to her when he was Cassius Clay, and he looked at her. This is before anybody knew who he was. This is before he was champion of the world. What was his personality? Your personality is the way you think, act, and feel. So what was he thinking, acting, and feeling? Well, she told him. When she was 10 years old, he came to her. Says, I'm going to be champion of the world, and you're going to want this signature? So he's already saying it before it happened. But where did it happen? In the quantum world, in his mind. And he had an emotion tied to a future event. So our emotions are no longer tied to the past, it's tied to the future, and then weird doors open, then you become champion of the world. It's not coincidence that the way he thinks, acts, and feels that he wanted to be champion, that he became champion. Unfortunately, we say something, our mind says, I want to be champion of the world, but our body says, no you don't. You want to eat donuts and sleep in. You want to hang out with negative people and play Fortnite. So that is the crux of the discussion. What is it about your personality for you to want to change your personal reality? Or does your personal reality determine your personality? Where when you're with friends that complain, you're complaining. So that means your reality is controlling your personality. And how do you take control and take the reins of that horse and say, no, I'm going to control you? He did it. Witness right here. Every successful person, from the boxing champion of the world, who is regarded as the best boxer ever, who I have our students research history. I said him, and I said more in terms of our school is Malcolm X. Make them all read his autobiography. His autobiography changed my life. But their personalities match successful people. And it all goes to the crux of the Prophet ﷺ. He had the best personality. And he already created that reality in his mind. And it came to reality in the physical world. And remember, your body, when Muhammad Ali was creating in the quantum world, that he's going to be champion of the world, and he physically saw himself winning the belt. It existed, but your body doesn't know the difference of that quantum imagination of what you're thinking, and it's, even though it doesn't exist, compared to the physical of something that actually happened physically. It doesn't know the difference. So your genes come and get triggered, turn on and off, saying, oh, you want that to happen, we think it's happening, so now your genes get triggered to go towards that. So your body changes, your brain changes. That's why Imam Ali or the Prophet ﷺ says, die before you die. Kill your egotistic self. Stop allowing your body control your mind, where your body becomes the mind, and take control of your mind through your conscious self and tell your mind, your body, no, I'm going to control you. That's how you destroy the ego. That's how you die before you die. Otherwise, when is that going to happen? As soon as your soul leaves the body. Then you'll be forced to do it. And it may be too late by then. So on that note, is there any questions on that topic or any topic? There's no taboo questions. Anything. Any.
So the floor is yours, guys. Again, the theme is your personality determines your
Personal reality.
We can stray outside around the topic as well. So,
But anything at all. Anything.
one quick observation I'm seeing, by the way, the ladies side is packed. And they have less space, unfortunately. So guys, next time try to pull somebody else from your
It's
side
okay.
as well.
Alhamdulillah.
All right, questions? Is everyone scared of Sheikh's black belt?
I don't know what the story is.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Sheikhs. Touching on what you said last night and what you said just now regarding our personalities, who we are. I remember when I was leaving school and my dream was always to become a radio announcer or end up in the music industry. And my parents was very much dead against this. However, I accomplished, I guess, what you would call a dream. Now, my dream seemed to be, and forgive me if I'm saying this the wrong way, seems to be stifled now as a Muslim because there is parameters that I cannot cross. As i.e. music being forbidden in Islam. And I've yet to see correct rulings as to the reasons as to why music is forbidden in Islam, but yet the Jewish, the Hebrew community worship God through music. The Christians, in a big way, worship Almighty God and bring many, many people to Islam. But why is it frowned upon in Islam? That's my question. And how do I and others who feel the same way overcome this issue?
Well, and then Sheikh, you give the fiqh ruling. But I'm just going to give the scientific approach to music when people come ask me. So we know majority of youth, no matter what the Sheikh comes with the fiqh, they're going to go in their car, they're going to turn on to that radio station because it's a habit. Your body says, I'm not comfortable with my own thoughts and I'm alone in a car. I have to listen to myself? No, music. It's your body telling you, so you turn it on. So scientifically we know the type of music that you listen to has a huge impact on you. You listen to negative music, people who are complaining about their past, using swear words, talking about indecent things, has an impact on you. They've done a study where they brought people and they had them do a crossword puzzle. One group had nothing but negative words. The other group had nothing but positive words. Then they say, okay, go to the next station. And somebody was there holding a clipboard talking to somebody. They say, the person that's holding with a clipboard, they're going to give you the task from the clipboard. Go and talk to them. Well, that person with the clipboard, this was all staged, they didn't know, was talking to somebody. And they would have the back turned to that person. They wanted to see how long would that person wait before they interrupt and say, hey, I'm waiting for you. The people with negative crossword puzzles, within 2 minutes, hello, I'm waiting for you, what are you doing? I was sent here. People with positive crossword puzzles, words, 7 minutes, more than triple the time. So imagine positive words, just 2-minute crossword puzzle, how much it has an effect on your unconscious mind subconsciously. Where they even did it with old people, negative words, positive words. They say, okay, now go walk. It's a long walk to the next station. Elders, 70 and up. The ones with positive words, on average, it took them 3 minutes to get there. Negative words, 7.5 minutes. Wow. What happened? They felt old, because that was the crossword puzzle. Dying, cancer. So you become those thoughts. Because your thoughts is the language of the mind. And the mind goes to the feelings. Feelings is the language of the body. That becomes your state of being. And if you do it long enough, it becomes your personality. And then you create your personal reality. So then I say, if you are going to listen to music, be very careful on the type. That's why prayer is so important. Because it's those positive words over and over again. Now you no longer could be impatient. Now you could be understanding. Now you could feel alive. But unfortunately, some of us that pray, we have no idea what we're praying. So what's the difference between that and a bird that says the same words? That's why the Prophet ﷺ says, reflection for 1 hour or 1 minute, Shaykh will correct me, is the same as somebody who prays for 70 years without reflection. Imagine doing one task for 70 years, then somebody comes and does it in 5 minutes. You'd go insane. Well, that's what reflection does. That's the first rule of Islam, is tafakkar. So when you listen to music, do tafakkar. Does this make sense? Will this determine my personality, which will change my reality? So become your conscious self and question the things. So Shaykh, in terms of music, what's the fiqh ruling?
So there are two considerations when it comes to music. The first consideration is with regards to the lyrics, the words. And that what you said was spot on. In fact, any negative words, any negative lyrics, any lyrics that promote any kind of indecency or sinful activity is haram to listen to, which is very obvious why. And the reasons that you gave are brilliant. In fact, they go very well in line with the hadith that says, يُورِثُ قَسَاوَةُ الْقَلْبِ. It actually makes the heart hardened. Okay, that kind of lyrics. So that with respect or with regards to the lyrics. Then comes to the music itself, the instruments and the music itself. If the instruments and music is the type that is used in sinful gatherings, it is haram to play or listen to. If it is not haram. And I want to add one thing, and I won't make the confession here publicly, but I will add one thing. In fact, it is very much used in Islam as well, Brother Dawood. Not only in Christianity and Judaism, it is very much used in Islam. And there are very learned people, I don't want to say scholars with amama or something, however, very learned people who play it with beautiful poetry that speak of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, speak of Ahlul Bayt, and not the type that is suitable for gatherings of sin, because even with good lyrics, if the music is not good, then it's haram to listen to. So they use it, and it is very effective, and I would suggest that you go in that direction. In fact, I remember one incident, which I will share this as the last word on this question. Basically, I was in a car with a high caliber scholar, one of my teachers and mentors, who is a mujtahid. And he was a teacher of kifaya at the time, which is, the highest level in Hausa. And I was in the car with him. I was a friend, very close to him, distant relative, and I used to be almost like his chauffeur on the weekend. So I'd take him to Tehran and so on. And I had a tape. It was Arabic, and he understood. And it was a beautiful poetry with music that actually says, it starts بِعَيْنِ اللَّهِ, with the eye of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala I walk, and I care not of anything else. And he started having tears. He didn't say to me, what is it, why are you playing this? Instead, I said, can I have you listen to this and give me your opinion? And after listening a little bit, he started actually having tears and said to me, this is amazing. The words and the effect with the music that it has, it could be very well relaxing and effective.
Try to watch the movie Yusuf without music. It's made in Iran.
Yeah.
It's music, the whole movie. You cry because of the music. If you take the music out, you cannot build an emotional connection.
Not as
music
much.
is a great tool to build an emotional connection,
Awesome.
but the right time. But it could also use, because it's the power of suggestion. And actually music, there's types of music that doesn't relax you. It distracts you and it puts you in a fantasy mode. Because you never feel, people who tell me they listen to bad music, oh, it relaxes me. So no, it doesn't, because when you shut it off, when you get a massage, you feel relaxed. But after the music, when you shut it off, you don't have that same relax. You're actually more annoyed. So music does not, certain music doesn't relax you, distracts you. Yes, how about, let's go brothers, sisters, brothers, sisters.
So I do have a question on the phone here.
Okay?
You have the youngest
Follow-up
speaker.
question to the music question?
Before he forgets it, he's the youngest.
Okay, yes. Go ahead. What's your question?
Drums are not haram, like, because it's hard to explain, but
No explanation needed. You're right.
a lot of drums, I hear a bunch of music too.
Exactly.
And the sheets and everything, they have a lot of music. But some of them, they say drums are not haram, and then they put it in the sheets, and they make it seem like it's all drums, but it's actually music too.
Exactly.
So my question is like,
Is drums,
why do they use music in
Yeah.
the sheets and stuff?
because it builds an emotion, you tie an emotion to it. It's very important for some certain events to use certain types of music. Builds emotion. Sisters,
I
oh,
do
go
have a
ahead.
question that the sisters provided, and then I have another one lined up. So if you guys have questions, just make sure to line them up. As a community, we're looking forward to an Islamic school, inshallah. However, while we do not have an Islamic school, what would be your advice on dealing with our children in the present public school system? And there's a second question here, but I'm sorry, I'm going to limit it to one. That's okay.
All right, so we started a school because parents were fed up with the public school system within our community. But our generation came in 1900s. Some of them were actually on the Titanic. We hear the generation is more recent. So we've completely assimilated in Dearborn to the West. So 4,000 kids in the high school in Fortson. My first cousin is the principal of that school. 98% Muslim. 90% date behind the parents' back. 90% are going to spring break. They're all going to homecoming, prom. They're all having indecent acts with each other at least once within 4 years. They're all at least once watch something indecent on the iPhone. So imagine now you're doing this and you're around it. See, if I was amongst non-Muslims, I say, okay, these are the non-Muslims. I see the barrier. It's not as confusing. But when people come and talk about Allah, they say, Wallah, Wallah, and then they talk about Allah, or they do things, but then they see Him in decent things, and they're just like me. It becomes very confusing. So that's where the identity crisis comes. Friends are doing one thing, your parents tell you to do something else, you go to the mosque, so you got this whole wave. Unfortunately, most of the kids are touching it. So we created an environment as an alternative. But if you have, but I've seen kids who go to those public schools, they don't touch any of it. And every kid I've ever seen do that is because they had something of a future that they were willing to sacrifice their low desires currently to go and achieve it. That's where good parenting comes in. That's where parenting classes come in. How do you attract kids that are very distracted and that are getting pulled? Check their iPhone, they go on TV, they watch Netflix, so many subconscious message out there. The friends are giving their thoughts. So how do you do that? You have to train the parents. 90% of problems in society with kids are lost is honestly bad parenting. We have two types of bad parenting. Ones who don't care for their kids, don't spend enough time, and ones that helicopter parents. So professionals like the sheikh and other counselors that come in show you where to bring the balance, when to allow your kids to go out with friends, how to create environments. If a kid comes to me and says, okay, I go out, I hang out with girls, I go out on Friday, Saturday nights, you say, no, it's haram, this is what's going to happen. If I don't give him something else to do on Friday night, Sheikh, what's he going to go do? I don't blame him. This community didn't give him something else to do. The parents are telling them, go home, sit while we're doing something else. So I don't blame the kids. I've never blamed a kid that's been addicted to opiates, that has been promiscuous. I've never blamed them. They're a victim. We've caused it. I've never blamed them, honestly. I said, if I was like that, in that environment, Sheikh, most likely I would have done the same thing. How do I think I'm any different? Islam is a personal relationship between you and your Lord. You better not judge anybody. Unfortunately, when they're in the public schools, we tend to judge because of the ills. But they're like, look how much pressure we're dealing. And if I were to go into your lives, you guys fall victim to the same cultural pressures too. They're just different because the generation is so much different. So parenting, doing parenting workshops and creating environments, sports, having a gym, something attractive. And eventually starting a school, create a new environment to change kids' personalities so their realities change. That's simple. It's what we did. It's working. But we're working 12 years nonstop, 12-hour days, 7 days a week. I never say no. Sometimes I'm up at 2 o'clock in the morning when I get a phone call. I've never told anybody no for a request, because every time I think, what if this is my last? I don't want to lose that opportunity. I never look at as a kid as a problem, as an opportunity. But we need to rewire the brains. And they know when you complain, you remain. So if you ask why is the community where it's at, it's because when you complain, you remain. And when you praise, you raise. So how do you do that? Well, you got to have the professionals come in and say, okay, let's try this. But then the body comes in within the community and says, no, we're too comfortable with this old cultural tradition. We like it this way. I said, okay, wait another 20 years. You won't be saying that anymore. So create environments for the youth. Create them. It's extremely important. One person built this mosque for you. How are you going to pay that back? So you better now build something. He did it, one person. There's all of you. So why can't you do the same?
In the school.
Yeah, do a school. What's wrong with doing a school? But in the meantime, workshops, renting facilities for gyms, having these types of discussions, it's got to be attractive. This is going to beat you otherwise. It's beat you to the punch.
Thank you. We have one more question here.
Assalamu alaikum, sister.
I'm happy for you.
Please introduce yourself.
Assalamu alaikum. This is the Dr. Khalila Khalil, the former wife of Muhammad Ali, the only Muslim wife that Muhammad Ali had.
Alhamdulillah.
I grew up in a Muslim school. From kindergarten to graduate up to 12th grade, valedictorian in Chicago.
MashaAllah.
So, as I was going to school, I learned that children, the youth, they have so much energy. I mean, they're like an atom. The energy is running like this, so you have to parlay the energy into something positive. And for boys and girls who I'm talking to right now, those energies can go into different hobbies you can look up to. When you look up hobbies like sewing or dressing, you want to be a fashion designer, you want to race cars, you want to fly planes. Hell, I'm a pilot. I learned how to fly because I wanted to. And I never got involved in nothing negative. I didn't think about boys or anything like that because I had all my energy in something positive. So that includes that the energy must be there. You must parlay your energy as a channel. When you said about environment, the people that surround you, even at the police department, there are 5 cops in my family, and they judge people. If they stop somebody doing bad, whoever's with them is going down too. You know why? They judge you by the company you keep. And if you're in bad company, bad with that person. So they lock them both up. So always be careful who you hang around with. It's not wrong with being a loner. You know, if you're a loner, choose your subjects. Another thing, what the brother was saying about bad people, Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay, he was about to do something wrong. He was about to beat this guy up who stole his bicycle. And he was just going around the people, he was running around the neighborhood, and Allah blessed this Caucasian police officer named Joe Martin. He says, "Where you going, fella?" He says, "Well, he stole my bike and I'm going to beat him up." He said, "You don't want to go to jail, do you?" He said, "But he stole my bike." He said, "Do you know how to fight?" "No." He said, "You follow me," and he took him to a gym, and he's been fighting ever since. And that means he didn't go looking for the guy who stole his bike. So he put himself in a position where he could be a professional. You all can put yourself in a position to be a professional. You got Calvin Klein clothes, you're wearing Yves Saint Laurent, you're wearing all the Gucci, you're wearing all these. You can have your own design, your own Gucci, your own Calvin Klein, and outdo them. Ladies, you want to learn how to sew, you want to do fashion, learn how to sew. And your mind will be occupied with something personal and permanent. So I had so many hobbies: horseback riding, race car driving, flying planes. I did it all. And I come down to one thing that I really enjoyed doing: studying the life of Prophet Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى
Allah bless
آله.
him. His character was so super great, and he's known for his character. That's what you get to do. You have character, and you should build your character like Prophet Muhammad lived his. You pray about him every day, so you should be a part of that character. You can't get any better than that. And the police officers that be shooting and killing people, or calling themselves black, the police will kill that black person. You don't know what that black person said to that police officer. If he's cussing and saying profanity, he's causing his own death. And you can save your life by being kind, having good character, and being humble, first of all. And you won't have any problems. It works every time. So that's why I was talking to the brother over there. I'm just happy to be here. I'll be back again, my little manager over here. I want to thank Dr. White for inviting me to this beautiful mosque. I feel like I'm already in paradise. So, paradise, I'm getting like this. I'm good. I'm ready to go. But thank you, brother. I just want to say that these children, whatever you think, even sister ladies, you think something, you want to talk about it with another person to build a business, all you have to do something what you need. And I think these children need is a coloring book to teach them manners and etiquette, because a lot of the parents are not focusing on their children. I have a feeling you will be the salvation of America, because America is going to eventually start putting their children in the Muslim schools. That's going to be their salvation. Assalamu alaikum.
I was actually asking about a fun fact about Muhammad Ali. Now I can tell people about the bicycle story for a while.
So the tool that I would give you is, so she said friends. So ask yourself, do you have dream killer friends? How would you know? Well, when you talk about your future dreams, do they tend to kill it? If you do, you need to run away from such friends. Get away from the dream killers. Everybody here is going to have one or two. You have to, it's unfortunate. Unfortunately, subconsciously, it's going to have an effect. And you're going to believe what they're saying is true. It becomes the reality. So that's one tool that I would give you. Just think of the dream killers in your life and say, okay, you know what? It's enough. Just look at your Snapchat. You'll be able to see who your dream killers are. And then the point of non-Muslim coming to Muslim schools, we were talking to a white Christian. He looks at me and Hajj Hassan, he did all the IT in our place. He says, you know, I'm looking at your sisters. You know, my daughter, she's going to be a Muslim. Why? Dress decently, she's not going to date, she's not going to drink. And what, man, I'm a father. I don't want to worry about my daughter. She's going to be a Muslim. We were shocked. So, alhamdulillah. And we didn't speak about Islam. Action, we saw it. Next question. Oh, Sheikh, if you would like to add on anything.
On the school issue, actually, in fact, commenting on what you said in terms of the non-Muslims coming to the Muslim school, we had a model in St. Petersburg. Some of the brothers did come and see it. And I do recommend that if we ever have a school, it be the open model.
Of course.
A model that was open to all. It was not targeting just the Muslim community. Yes, for the Muslim community, it had everything that a Muslim school has in terms of the Arabic and the Quran and the Islamic studies and so on, the halal food and so on.
Right.
Nonetheless, it was open to all. It was none of those materials and even the dress code and so on was mandatory. So they came. It was very open. And we had 50-50. We had 50% Muslims and 50% non-Muslims, alhamdulillah. And the effect of it was on both. First of all, our children got a touch of being with those non-Muslims, yet practicing their Islam, which sometimes in a very, very closed environment, you don't get that.
Right.
So they got that experience. And on the other hand, the others saw that these are Muslims, they're our friends, they're our classmates, teachers or students and so on. So they built not just tolerance but understanding, which led to, in fact, one of the children getting so close to our children, he says to my son, I want to participate in the Arabic class. So we asked his mother, his parents, and his mother at the time, and she said, yeah, he can do that. So after a while, he tells my son, I want to become Muslim. So he says to me, my son comes and he says, Richard's saying he wants to become Muslim. I said, so what did you do? He said, I said, you have to ask your mother. So I said, since when do they have to ask their mother? He said, well, I didn't want us to get into trouble. But Alaikum salam.
As a mom, we relate more to our daughters. My question is, if we have younger sons, what advice would you give us in the difference in raising sons from daughters?
Well, you have to read 5 love languages. Know what's the love language of your son. Know, does he like spending time? Does he like words of affirmation? Read. And then see the things that he likes to do. But I always tell parents, don't make big deals if your son gets straight A's, or he worked really hard and only got a C. It's not a big deal. I run a school. By the way, our school has non-Muslim teachers, but it's a Muslim school. If our school was filled with atheists, it'd still be an Islamic school. So the Sheikh hit it dead on. But make a big deal with your son, no matter what he likes to do. Figure out what he likes to do. If you like math, but he loves to draw, don't force him to spend math all day. Just do enough to get by. But make a big deal when he opens up the door for somebody. Make a big deal when he gives charity and wants to help somebody. We ignore that. At the camp I do a lot of behavioral science within our kids. So the camp, I'll put garbage, and after prayer, they'll all get out. I want to see the first kid who picks it up. Because every kid, their thoughts are, it's not mine, I'm running to prayer, I'm running to go eat. Every time that one kid who picked it up, I'd go to him, I say, straight A student. Yeah, every time. So but that kid wasn't focused on straight A's. The parents focused on those types of things, and that brought them to straight A's. They don't get that. And then at the end of the day, I'd always recognize that person. We'd give them money, make them feel proud. So that's a big deal. And we would talk about it all week at the camp. Make that a big deal. That's what my mom did to me. She made those small things. She would talk about it for 2 weeks. She would talk to about other people. And that's what I believe in. That's how you change the world. The Prophet of Islam, he didn't make mistakes, big deals. One person was amongst sisters. I shared this story, I think. And he told him, what are you doing? He says, I lost my camel. I thought these sisters know where they were. A couple of days later, he sees the same guy. What were you doing? Oh, You have another group of sisters, what were you doing? He says, oh, I thought they knew where my camel was. They were hopeless, they didn't know where my camel was. Then they see him, he sees him in the prayer hall, comes to the Prophet. Prophet comes to him and says, did you find your camel? He says, you know, Prophet ﷺ, you know, I didn't even have a camel. He says, why didn't you call me out? He says, I didn't want to embarrass you. Prophet didn't make that a big deal. That guy became a saint. But we make big deals when our kids, you know, if your son comes to you, makes a mistake and drops this, says, Ma, I dropped this, and you make it worse, good luck. You know, we become so judgmental when our kids make mistakes as if we never made a mistake. We're going to ask Allah for forgiveness, but we don't want to forgive our kids. You know, that's why your kids will eventually hide things from you. Because you make them feel worse. You don't empower them and build a future for them. You use your brain as a roadmap, as a record of the past, and you keep reminding them. Those are the dream killers. Those are the naysayers. Some parents are the worst naysayers for their kids. So allow your son, figure out what he likes to do. There's a sister, I said, what do you want to do? I want to become an eye doctor. She's 7. Told the parents, better buy eye examination. She should learn how to know if you have 20/20 or not. And you better be talking about it all the time. Don't put your dreams. So figure that out. Spend time and make a big deal of the things of helping people. Let's make that a big deal. I can't stress that enough.
So on a related note to that, I know at Camp Down, you guys have competitions where the person who would clean the most, whether it's their cabin, the kitchen,
Cleanest cabin.
right, to get free camps.
Look, if I want to determine success, it's got nothing to do with GPA. Tell kids, just give me 20 seconds at your home. I'll determine your future. How? You see a garbage can that's full, you look at it, you keep walking. Second option, mom tells you, take it out. That's the second option. What's the third option? Oh, take it out without being told. That's called willpower. That's success. If you're still cleaning your teenage kids' rooms, still reminding them to brush their teeth or to do their homework, man, good luck. It's forbidden. I'm going to pass the fiqh rule, Sheikh. Ready? Can you send a letter to the marjas, a fatwa? It's haram for you to go into your son's room to clean after the age of 7. Don't do it. You never would, if your son is lifting weights and he wants to get stronger, you wouldn't lift the weights for him because you feel bad for him. Say, no, you have to lift it, you have to struggle. So why do you lift all the weights at home and take his willpower away? And then start crying when your son picks up the phone when he's 20. Ma, what do you want? You're bugging me. Click. Why would he value somebody that was a slave his whole life? I wouldn't. So give him back the task. When I deal with opiate addiction parents, I tell the parents, pack all your kids' problems in a suitcase, hand them back to him. That's the solution. Let your kid hit rock bottom. Because with opiates, the fastest way to help somebody is not to keep them going. They have to sleep on the street. It's the fastest way, unfortunately, because that's a monster.
Thank you. All right, I'm getting a couple of questions on my phone, and I'm going to go by time that I got it. So this one says, I'm going to modify it a little bit because it was a little bit answered, but what are your thoughts on Fortnite? Should we allow the kids to play the game? The kids say they play for the social aspect. The whole premise of the game is negative, all about killing, destroying things. So I think you kind of answered that, but maybe how do we address that?
You can't tell them when everybody else is playing. You can't make it forbidden, something that's not forbidden. Because technically Fortnite's not forbidden. But you find something else that's more attractive to do that's other than Fortnite. And the only way is to paint a picture of the future saying, wait, Fortnite is not going to make me get into the NBA. So I better not be spending all my time. That's how I get people to stop. I've gotten kids come and bring me their Xbox and their PlayStations in my office. I have them. I said, I don't want this anymore. You're right. Spending way too much time and I'm addicted. So I challenge them, bring it to my office, I dare you. And they would bring it. The parents are just crying, like, how do you make this happen? I said, I didn't. They did. They have a future that they want. And they have to be super attracted to it and they have to tie an emotion to it. That's why I have 13 iPhones. I have $13,000 worth of iPhones in my office right now. It's because I gave them a choice. Unfortunately, you know, I train our kids how to get the parents to say yes. I said, when's the last time, what do your parents say no to? I said, my mom always says no. Want to go to the movies? No. I want to play video games? No. So what do I do? You're going to have a problem. So I trained, I said, okay, you're going to go to them and say, instead of saying, this is how you get somebody to say yes. Go to your mom and say, instead of picking one movie, pick two. Pick two different groups of friends and make one group really bad. Ma, I could go watch this bad movie with this bad friends, or I could go with these good friends and watch this group. Which one do you think, Ma? Oh, you could go. You know, when you go to Best Buy, you'll never see one TV. You'll see three. You'll see the low-end TV, no, it's too cheap. You'll see the high-end TV, too expensive. You'll never see just one. But then you'll see the middle TV, $700. That's the TV they make most of the money from. But if that TV was the only one there and you didn't have something to compare, nobody would buy that TV. Because you didn't even want a TV in the beginning. But now you're giving options. You said no, now they'll get you to say yes to something that you don't even need. That's why marketing, iPhone. You don't need a new iPhone. But they're going to make sure you upgrade. Inshallah, that made sense. I'm sorry if I'm too direct. People tend to say, complain, I'm too direct. I hurt people's feelings. I'm tired of crying with mothers who lose their kids with sin. I'm tired. I have no time. So I'm going to try to influence. I'm tired. Keep telling people. I have a lot of tissue boxes in my office. I'm tired. Tired of going to funerals of kids. I'm tired of going to funerals of mothers who die because of the stress hormones that invoke the genes, the cancer genes in their body. Tired of it. There's no time.
It's actually not direct. It's very powerful and related, so thank you. All right, another question. I've always learned that if your relationship with Allah is not right, no relationship in this dunya will fill that emptiness. What are the best ways to strengthen our deen and solidify our relationship with Allah? Broad question.
Want me to-
Was that for me? No.
Doesn't matter. Basically, if you want to know the relationship with your Lord, look at the relationship with your mom or dad. Two things. Ask your mom, are you pleased with me? This was the Prophet's suggestion. Are you pleased with me? If you're not, then most likely your Lord isn't pleased with you. But here's a bigger one. Ma, what's one thing you think I should change about my personality? Oof, because nobody knows you other than yourself better than your mom or dad. Stop procrastinating. Can you get rid of that bad friend? Can you spend less time on your iPhone? And then ask yourself, are you willing, do you have the willpower to do that? It's the quickest way to get closer to Allah is to go ask your mom or dad, what is one thing you think I should improve on? But man, we're so scared to ask that question. Anything like to add?
The hadith says, if you want to know how your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, look at your heart. It's from Imam Ali alayhi salam. He says, if you prefer in your heart, if you have a preference for things to do with this world over things to do with the hereafter, then obviously you don't have a good relationship. But if your preferences and priorities go for things for the hereafter, then you love God and God loves you. So that look into your own heart and see where your priorities are. If when it comes to say Allahu Akbar in Salat, you start remembering all your business problems and your family issues and social, and on that note social, I say, somebody said Fortnite and social. Please do not allow your children to tell you, this is my social time. This is not a social time. You don't socialize by sitting and talking to your friends through a game that who do we kill next? You know, I literally was asking my son at one point, I said, you know, you played enough. He said, let me just kill this one more guy.
Oh no.
Literally. So that's not socializing, by the way.
Alhamdulillah.
So, what about kids that have jewel addictions? You know, in school they have like, how would you know? Because it's technically not illegal, but it's something they shouldn't be doing. How would parents go on about that?
You talking about the e-cigarette?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know in communities,
What do they call them?
e-cigarettes.
No.
It's called Juul.
Juul.
Juul. Those little rectangular little pipes.
Scientific approach, all these are gateways to deeper drugs. Marijuana is the biggest gateway one. E-cigarettes lead to marijuana that lead to bigger gateway drugs. It's a fact. And we know the effects that smoking has. Simple. People who smoke the hubble bubble argila, simple. Would the Prophet do it? You'd say no. But let's leave that alone. In America, think about this, brothers and sisters. In America, they allow you to drink alcohol. They allow you to go to haram places. Everything goes. But then when it comes to smoking, they've forbidden it in public places. So if the people who are saying to do all the haram are telling you it's bad, then you really know it's bad. You don't need the ulama to tell you don't do something like that. So find alternatives. But what's happening is when you don't know how to develop social, socially, you have quirks, you don't know how to deal with people socially, it's not an addiction for the smoke. It's a tool to hide, to be more social, just like video games and everything else. So it's a way to put a mask that you don't want to be too social with people. That's the main reason why people smoke. That's why gatherings, people feel more comfortable when they smoke when they're around people. And that same person, if those people leave, it's harder for them to keep smoking. They're not really into it. It kills social characters. It's hard. You talk to somebody, they'll text, they'll type, they'll send text messages, but then you meet with them face to face, they don't know how to shake your hand. It's going to be a huge problem. In school, college is a 4-year vacation. High school is another 4-year vacation. I could prove it. I run a school. Doesn't take much creativity to get straight A's. It just takes hard work. You don't have to think outside of the box. It's a cookie cutter system. But where do you get opportunities is you meet somebody, you network, you go to the CEOs, you're emailing, because the person closest to the sun shines the brightest. So if you don't know how to network and talk to people, you'll never achieve top level success. Muhammad Ali achieved it. Not only he was great in boxing, he was vibrant. People loved him. They were attracted to him.
Spoke so well.
I have a question regarding avoiding the naysayers and negative people. I just want you to clarify. So if it's someone in the family member, someone you're close to, how would you go about that? Because where do you know where to draw the line? Where do you know where you need to turn the other cheek? Because there's an ayah that comes up in the Quran where God says that stay like believers, they're enemies to you from among your spouse and offspring, so be mindful of them. But if you forgive and overlook their offenses and pardon them, then surely God is not forgiving. So where do you draw the line?
Well, there's other ayahs where Allah says, don't obey them if they tell you to disobey me. The Prophet ﷺ, a person came to him and says, I want to become shaheed. But my mother wouldn't let me. What do I do? He says, go back to your mother. She went back. She was so impressed by the Prophet. She let him go. He became shaheed. So there's many ways to do it. But I'm sensitive to it. So I say, okay, don't spend as much time. Be careful. Especially if somebody's calling you, you're too skinny, you're too fat, you're ugly. It's almost disobeying Allah. And the impact that it has on the brain, if I do brain scans, it's just as bad as drugs and opiates. So you have to limit your time with such negative people, even if it's your parents. So, and there's ways. You can never give advice to your parents. They're not going to listen to you. There was a person who says, my mother dresses indecent and is negative. What do I do? I'm uncomfortable around her with my friends. What do I do? He said, okay, every time you see a girl that's dressed well, make a comment. about her. Watch what happens. In 3 months, she put on the hijab. So every time your mom brings a negative about the past, all you do is talk about the future. You talk about, yes, mom, I know, but this is what I'm going to do. This is where we're going to go. Don't allow yourself to be in the victim mentality that you're just trying to survive this conversation. Change that direction indirectly. And there's skills. I actually train the kids how to do that. You have to. Or else nothing is more detrimental, not to a parent that passed away that you didn't know, than a negative parent. It's the worst thing you could have in your life. Somebody who you look at him as almost a god when you're young, who's telling you you're no good. So there's these two twins. They were raised with a drunken father that would beat them. They became older. The first twin was a drunk and started beating his own wife. The other twin never touched alcohol. So when they went to the first twin and they said, why didn't you? Why did you become an alcohol and beat your wife? So, because I watched my father. They asked the other twin, why did you never touch alcohol and you're good to your wife? It's because I watched my father. So you look at, is the problem as an opportunity or a reason to become it because you feel like that's it. But it takes foresight of wanting something in the future and asking yourself, did this comment fit for my future? If not, I got to bring it back with a positive comment. The only thing I respect Donald Trump for, only thing, I know it's a taboo subject, is he's never touched alcohol because his brother died from it. It's the only thing, by the way. He'll be probably with the people in Saudi-occupied Arabia, so we don't have to worry. All right. Yes. Go.
Another question that came on the phone. It's related to music, but what if someone listens to music, in this case they're going to ask, why do you get music? But it's not vulgar, it's more composition of words and poetic. They're asking, from what fit and from what.
Yeah. I think we answered that in terms of the fiqh perspective. If the music is not suitable for gatherings of sin, and that is for the person to determine based on their culture and their urf, we call it, their environment. So if in your environment and your country, city, or community, a type of music is not suitable for gatherings of sin, the music itself is fine to listen to. If the words are not, the lyrics or words are not promoting sinful activity or have negative aspects to it, then it is okay to listen to.
So, sorry guys, like Lil Wayne, 50 Cent, who's the other guys? They're haram. You had a comment, sister? You have a question or a comment? Okay. Or we could come back.
Oh, yeah. And I heard about the music. I've heard a lot of lectures on music, being haram and everything. But like you said, I said to myself, because I love classical music and, violin. So I figure it's nice because it does on your emotions. I went to a Christian funeral one time, and we went to give respects. But I was with someone else. I didn't even know the person that died. But when the music started kicking in, I started crying. I didn't even know the person.
Wow.
So it does help with your emotions. Because I started crying. I didn't even know the person was dead. The music started out there. So it's like, I can understand how the emotional thing kicks in. But then, about 3 years ago, I got on YouTube and I heard this brother sing. And it was beautiful. And this Mahar Zain. You heard about this?
Right.
I love Mahar Zain and Brother Muhammad Yusuf.
Right.
Tariq. It was a very good singer because you're praising Allah.
Exactly.
It keeps you aware of Allah.
Right.
I just want to say that.
Alhamdulillah. Good point.
Since you brought the name, some of the things that they do perform has two versions. They have the musical and they have the vocal one.
A cappella.
Yeah, so they have the ones that are mostly vocal,
Right.
or less music into it. Some of the very musical ones that have a very fast beat to it could be problematic, in fact. So just be careful.
Some of their lyrics actually go against Tawheed. Some of their lyrics, if you look at some of the ways they talk about Allah and so on, you just have to also be careful of that. But we overall, it's okay.
How would it affect your religion, your relationship with Allah? For example, if you listen to music that you can't understand the lyrics to, and it may be saying something bad, and you listen to it, and you don't know what's going on, how would that?
Great. I'll give you the scientific. They took plants, brother. Plants. 2 plants. One with positive words, one with negative words. Because there's vibrations and energy that come out, and certain types of vibrations. So the first group with negative words, the plant, it died in 2 weeks. The other plant flourished. How does that happen? How? It's because there's, even subconsciously, it has an effect to your body when you listen to negativity. That's why negativity is the biggest evil. And this thing puts your mind in more of a negative mode. That's why when you go to Facebook to become depressed, it's because you think everybody else is happy and you're not. Nobody liked my page. And it becomes a drug. If you look at Twitter, Twitter works like a slot machine. If you look at the messages, it'll go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And you get excited. And it's a dopamine hit, just like the casino. So you go to Facebook and Instagram to become depressed when you spend more than 10 hours a week. Be very careful. So it all has a subconscious effect on you. So you have to know, what are you surrounding yourself with? That's why it's so important. What's very interesting to me though, on the reverse, is we pray and a lot of us have no idea what we're saying. It still has an effect. I have data to show how prayer has a tremendous effect to keep you moral. And Harvard grads, so I could give you so many things about prayer, how important it is. That's why every prophet said, as-salah, don't leave prayer. But it becomes better when you understand what you're saying. Know the prayer in English. Pray the same way in English. Not for your recommended prayers, but understand it.
You said prayers, and I actually want to give the best remedy and the best replacement for those who do listen to music in your car or wherever. Some of the best pieces of musical work in the world are the Quran recitations.
Yes.
In fact, they do study. They study music.
Yes.
When you want to study, in fact, the most famous Iranian reciter that recites even poetry and with music, very famous, Iranians know him very well, Shajarian. He was a Quran reciter and recited adhan, and he was reciting dua and prayers. His supplication is actually the one they open their fast with in the month of Ramadan. Every month they put it. It's very famous. You put Rabbana and it will come up. He learned how to recite Quran first, then he became pro in music and lyrics and so on. So the best that has the positive effect on ourselves, on every part of our body, and has the positive effect on our mind, and has the positive effect 100%. On our heart, our soul, and every part of our existence is the Quran recitations, especially with understanding. If one tries to understand at the same time, believe me, that has an effect that by far outweighs any effect that you can get from any classical music or non-classical, or whatever you want to call it.
Let me give you a personal. See, what happens is you have alpha, beta, delta, theta, and you get into different zones. When you're sleeping, you're in theta or delta, where your body is no longer in control, and it's just your mind, and so on. But you could do that while meditating. So what happens is you get into different zones, and when I've done it, so I meditate every day, an hour a day. I take meditation classes. I find the best meditators in the world. But then every once in a while you put in Quran, and then your body shuts off, and you only become your conscious self, and your thoughts are shut off. If you talk about smoking cigarettes or watching movies or listening to music, we're all looking for that high. There's nothing greater than when you become your conscious self, you shut off your body, and you become in a dream state when you're awake, and you're in the quantum world, and you are going and doing different spheres. The Prophet ﷺ did it every single day, right?
Especially at night.
Especially at night. You do it in the beginning of the morning. Learn how to do it. All of the solutions, when I help people with cancer, it's through meditation. I have here a feedback where a lady I'm helping with cancer, the people came during the night's house. They were watching her. They said, how is she being cured from cancer? One of the ways is through meditation, where you turn off your mind. You no longer become the analytical self by turning off your body, and you become the conscious self. You're no longer being controlled of the body. Your body feels tired, it's shut off. Just like when you're sleeping. You know, when you're sleeping, you smell. But it's not with the smell of the nose. You see, but it's not with the physical eye. Right? So you could do that while awake through meditation. And that's when your genes turn off and on in a reality that you want. You create it in the quantum world, and then weird doors open and it happens. That's why Muhammad Ali became a boxer. That's why he became champion of the world. He tapped into that. You just tap into a little bit and you taste it. When I taste it once, there was nothing else in the world could offer me. That was that high compared to anything. You can't give me a drug, you can't give me anything compared to that. And the best way it was tied in is when Quran was played in the background. Just something, this is a personal experience for me.
Assalamu alaikum once again. Sorry for cheating. I know it's only supposed to
Yes.
be 2 questions. But the music issue still has not yet been cleared up. And I am asking this question as a musician myself. I play about 9 different instruments. The only one that I was trained to play was the cathedral pipe organ. Now, I have not seen anywhere in the Quran that music in itself is forbidden. Now, the Shaykh, I love and respect you dearly, Shaykh Khalid. Now, but I need something to reassure me that I can reassure others.
So, brother, simple. As long as that music isn't haram in terms of negative words, abusive words, it doesn't take people away towards, it doesn't take them towards sin, it's okay. So most music is okay as long as it's in towards positivity. That's it.
You mentioned, or the Shaykh mentioned, instruments. Now, many of the instruments that are used today were not around thousands of years ago.
But he didn't say the instruments were haram.
Oh, in that case I misunderstood.
Yeah. No, he said it's fine.
Alright, thank you. So I think we beat the music question.
Yes.
For the
Sisters?
For the questions on music, let's take that one offline. I'll entertain maybe 1 or 2 more questions if there are any. Hopefully related to the personality topic. Okay, we got one here.
I want to know what's y'all perspective on Muhammad Ali, Elijah Muhammad, Louis Farrakhan, and Malcolm X.
My perspective is immaterial. Everybody's on a personal relationship with God. Malcolm X changed my life. My best friend is Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. He became Muslim because of Malcolm X's book. I can never look at an atheist and deem him to go to hell. I have no idea. It's not my jurisdiction. Everybody's on a personal path between them and their Lord. That's why the Prophet ﷺ, Islam is not a noun, it's a verb. And a Muslim is somebody who submits to the truth. So that's why the Prophet ﷺ says Christians will die and be raised as Muslims. Muslims will be died and be raised as other things. Because it's action. What did you know with the truth that you had? And what did you do with it? And how much did you struggle to find greater truth? So with all those people you mentioned, including Malcolm X, what did they do with the limited truth that they have? And how did they struggle with it? That's what they'll be judged on. Not the title that they were had. Because most people are Muslim by birth, not by choice. So if I was in an atheist family or Christian family, I'd be a Christian. I'd be a Jew. And then I'd die. Can you ever dare say I'm going to go to hell? Impossible. So you don't know. So it's immaterial to me. Everybody has a personal relationship. Take the good. I took one good thing from the mal'aun Donald Trump. Take good from people. Right? So that's what I'll give you 1,000 great things about Muhammad Ali that I took great from. But trust me, he did bad things. Malcolm X did bad things too. I did bad things. I've made mistakes. I've lost $200,000 in the stock market because I have an addictive personality. I'm not guilty over it. I've learned from it, I move on. That's it. If I see a girl who's promiscuous, I said, okay, God will forgive you for all your sins. It's in the Quran. Do tawbah. But this is how you're going to do it. Look at the mercy of God. I don't know. I know one thing. 7 billion human beings, majority are going to heaven. I believe it's hard to go to hell. It's hard to constantly lie, cheat, and steal. You become insulated and in fear. And the stress hormones come in, you end up dying from it. It's hard. Allah created us for paradise. We take ourselves to hell. By the way, heaven and hell is not something that's tomorrow. It exists right now. We're creating it. The reality is there. We just don't see it. But you can see it. Not with the physical eye, the spiritual eye. So, they're all good people in certain respects. Just take the good from them. Because we always want to put people in categories. These are the nation of Islam, these are the Sunnis, these are the Shias. They think we're going to hell, they think they're going to heaven. Catholics do it with Christians, Protestants do it, atheists do it, everybody. But the Prophet ﷺ says, all of you are wrong. There's an amazing book by Shahid Mutahari on divine justice. He looks at all of them, he says, you guys are all wrong. And here's the proof in the Holy Quran. Man in the Universe, man, read that book. Tell you who the man truly is. So that's my take.
Very well
Thank you
said.
very much, Brother Hussein, Sheikh Mustafa. I think with that we can wrap up the program with question and answers. We truly appreciate your time, your insight, your stories, and
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه.
Thank you.
Any questions I don't think we can get to?